Helldivers 2 was all the talk when it first came out. Everybody seemed to love this game, but the good grace that this game had garnered was quickly ripped away from it when it was announced that in order to play this game on PC, you would need to have a PlayStation account. The reasoning behind this is kind of crazy, but thankfully, PlayStation decided to go back on this decision. But that doesn't mean we should leave PlayStation off of the hook. In today's video, we are going to be talking about the Helldivers 2 controversy and some of the dumb arguments people came up with in order to defend this move by PlayStation. A few days ago, it was revealed that in order to play Helldivers 2 on PC, that you would need to link your PlayStation account to Steam. PC gamers were having none of this nonsense. They went on X to complain. They tried to refund their copies of the game, and they let PlayStation know that this move was not okay. Especially since this move had much wider implications, because it turned out that you actually needed to link your PlayStation account to Steam in order to play the game. The big problem with this stems from the fact that PSN isn't available in over 170 countries, despite Helldivers 2 being sold in some of those places. So some people who bought this game and have been playing it for the past couple of months would no longer be able to play it anymore because they wouldn't have access to a PSN account. Steam once again came to the rescue with them offering refunds to anyone in these countries, but it still doesn't make what PlayStation did right. Of course, the Ponies didn't like PC gamers calling their senpai out for this type of behavior. So like the logical people they are, they used a couple of different excuses to justify this very crappy decision. One of these popped up the very first day this controversy started, and that was the fact that Helldivers 2 apparently always required you to link your PlayStation account. After all, it says so right on the Steam page. This, however, was quickly debunked when it was revealed that it was a completely optional thing to do. The second argument I've seen time and time again, and it really highlights how goddamn stupid fanboys are, is the, oh, well, if you ever played an Ubisoft, Rockstar, or EA game on PC, you needed to make a separate account for those also argument. Using this argument is completely fucking stupid, because most of us PC gamers also complain about those services too. All that argument is doing is justifying a company's bad behavior because other companies have done the same thing. Honestly, it is something you would expect a child to say when they got caught doing something they were not supposed to be doing. But Mom, Tommy down the road also smoked meth and he's not in any trouble. It's just completely idiotic. But even if we put that stuff aside for now, there's also another big concern that people had with linking their Steam accounts to PlayStation, and its PlayStation security is complete crap. At least once every couple of years, since the big anonymous hack took down PSN for a couple of weeks, they've been getting hacked to some extent. Whether that is personal information, such as credit cards being leaked, or DDoS attacks happening to them. I may just be crazy for saying this, but the last thing I want is my credit card information floating around out there in the dark web. And by linking your Steam account to PSN, you now have all of your personal information on Steam at risk for these sorts of hacks. What is even crazier about this situation was the reasoning behind having to link your PlayStation account to Steam. In a now deleted X post, one of Arrowhead's community managers, which for my own sake, I will be referring to the company as AH from now on, pretty much said that this was done to make banning people easier. If you were caught harassing or cheating in the Steam version of Helldivers 2, you would also be banned in the PS5 version of the game, and maybe even more. You guys know by now that I am 110% against digital games. I hate them, even as a PC gamer. I wish that PC games still came in physical form, but they don't. I bring this up because if you get banned on PlayStation, like from the platform itself, PlayStation can revoke access to your digital game library. The games you paid for would be no more. And some gamers can be really salty, especially the streamers. There have been streamers in the past that have sent their mob after people. So mass reporting is a very real threat. When Steam detects this sort of behavior, they lock down said accounts behind it. PlayStation, on the other hand, well, that's a bit of a different story. So while you may not get banned on Steam, you could very well get banned over on PlayStation because of something you did over on the PC version of Helldivers 2, and as a result, lose your game library. This whole situation is just completely bonkers. But thankfully, PlayStation heard the voices of the mass and went back on this decision. But this is where another problem of mine kicks in. Yesterday, I released a video about Stellar Blade. In it, I talked about how people were placing all the blame on PlayStation for the censorship that happened with this game, while pretending that the developers' shift up were just completely innocent. And the exact same thing is happening with Helldivers 2. People are just blaming PlayStation. Do not get me wrong, you are allowed to hate on a megacorp that frankly only cares about money. But let's not pretend that the developers are not also partially responsible for these types of decisions happening. When it comes to Helldivers 2 and even Stellar Blade, people are pretending that the developers are completely helpless, but that isn't the case. Even the CEO of AH came forward and said that he is partially at fault for this happening. Yet people are just completely ignoring this and pretending that AH is nothing more than a victim, and it really is pissing me off. Because if you are going to blame Sony, you also have to blame AH, because they could have fought against this decision to make account linking mandatory. Instead, they left all the work to their fans. And let's not pretend that AH didn't want this, because we had one of their community managers bragging about how easier it would be to ban cheaters and harassers from Helldivers 2 with this change. It is just mind-boggling to me that people are refusing to hold AH equally as responsible for this decision. I get it. People like the game, and they don't want to think that the developers of the game they like are responsible for things like this. It is easier to blame the big guy on top. And in a world where free will doesn't exist, they would be right to place all the blame on PlayStation. But as we all know, free will does exist. Even after the CEO of AH admitted that some of this was his fault, people are still refusing to acknowledge that it actually was. And this is why fanboys are so fucking stupid, because most of the people who are saying this are fanboys of the game. They are acting like they are not allowed to like a game if the developers do something they do not agree with. So in response, they place the blame elsewhere. Just to be perfectly clear here, I am not saying PlayStation is innocent, because they are not. But I'm also saying the same thing about AH. And you know what? I sound like I'm repeating myself because I pretty much said this exact same thing in my last video talking about Stellar Blade and Shift Up. With PlayStation listening to the cries of gamers, people are hoping that this could be a shift in the company's behavior. One, where they start listening to their fans. Some are hoping that this might mean they'll listen to the people fighting for Stellar Blade to be uncensored, and that the company will start treating their customers with respect. But I believe this as much as I believe that the moon is made out of cheese. The only reason PlayStation caved in was simply because of the money they were losing. They do not care whether or not you were upset. They cared about you not giving them your money and requesting refunds for the game. And the same logic extends to AH. If you've made it to the end of this video, hit that like, subscribe, and notification bell. And be sure to let me know who you think is at fault for this decision. I hope all of you have an amazing and wonderful day, and I will see you all in the next video. Peace out.